So thanks everybody for coming up this early to see this whirlwind tour of what's new in 5.0. I have only 45 minutes to cover a lot of stuff, and I have way too many slides for you guys. But I'm going to try to go at a reasonable pace and cover everything we've changed from 4.6 to 5.0. Not important, not important, not important. See, I already saved 3 slides. So, Dean introduced 5.0 yesterday. New big picture, a lot of new elements on it. Hopefully you've all gone to see v5preview.scaled-framework.com, and you could see that we have a lot of new stuff there. And as Dean showed, the first thing that we focus on is we have a new goal: business agility. We're no longer just talking about what does it take to be technical, what does it take to create technical solutions. But what does it take to actually deliver true business agility? The true things we might be delivering as organizations. So we have a completely new goal. And with new goals required new thinking. Thinking about what is business agility? And in the article, which hopefully all of you read by today, it says that business agility is the ability to compete and thrive in a digital age by quickly adapting to market changes and emerging opportunity with innovative business solutions. That's a huge change. Not just technical solutions, but business solutions. And with 4.6, we introduced the concept of the core competencies of the lean enterprise. And with 5.0, we're taking it a step further. The 7 core competencies of business agility. And you have them right here. You saw them yesterday in Dean's keynote. So I want to take you through some of the changes, and we're going to talk with some broad-based changes, some of the things we started with, and then really focus on some of the changes we've made specifically through each one of these competencies. Let's look at some of the big changes we've made. In 4.6, competencies were on one side, and now we've switched it to the other side. Why? Are we trying to confuse people? Well, no. If you think about reading order, most people start reading left to right. Where do we want people coming into the framework to start with? We want them to start with the competencies. So the competencies move to the left. 4.6 was a minor rev. We could make that big a change to the big picture. And now we can with 5.0. So we move the competencies to the left. All the competencies except one. Leadership is at the bottom. Why? Because it's the foundation of everything, right? This is what anchors everything. This is what allows us to create the transformation we strive to succeed with. The spending palette then had to move to the other side. So if the competencies are on the left, the other side is now, the spending palette now moved to the right, which is super confusing for me because I read right to left. And I was always fighting for the other one, and Dean kept blaming me that I was trying to create an Israeli big picture. So now it's the right way. We have 2 new core competencies for you, because going from technical agility to business agility requires more. Dean went deeper into these yesterday. I'm not going to go as deep as he did. But we have 2 new competencies. We have organizational agility, and we have continuous learning culture. But in addition, we had to rethink some of the existing competencies. So previously we had DevOps and release on demand. Is that not important anymore in this new world? No, it is. DevOps is still super important. It's right there on the big picture, taking center stage with all its calmer glory. But when you're thinking about business agility, you have to ask yourself the question, is what I'm trying to do DevOps, or is what I'm trying to do Agile product delivery? So we went in and changed that. We moved from DevOps and release on demand to Agile product delivery, rethinking our goal in the terms of business agility. We also had business solution lean systems engineering, which was a mouthful. And it was so long that it didn't even fit on the old big picture, and it just said business solution lean systems. So we said, how can we simplify that? And how can we draw attention to, not everybody needs this. This is for people reeling the really big solutions. So we put an extra large on it. can see that package there, it says extra large. And we renamed it Enterprise Solution Delivery. This is what it takes to deliver the really big things. So we have 2 new competencies, and we have 2 renamed competencies. But now as we're moving from just describing the framework in what we had before, which was before 4.6, which was levels, and we're now thinking competencies, we started asking ourselves, can we create a view for you guys that will make it easier to explain the framework? And we created the Overview tab. So starting with 5.0, we have a new tab on the homepage showing a simplified version of 5.0. If you remember yesterday, Dean took us through each one of the competencies, and each one had a really big graphic showing the 3 dimensions of it. I'm going to take you through some of that today as well. The same graphics appear here. So now I have a 1-page where I can take somebody through team and technical agility, agile product delivery, enterprise solution delivery, lean portfolio management, organizational agility, continuous learning culture, and end with leadership. And I can start with leadership and end with leadership. And I can tell the story of execution and strategy and really help people understand SAFe without going into the full big picture, which could be intimidating at times. But it's the same icons. If you take somebody through this and you get to the big picture later, they would now recognize a lot of those aspects. So we have each one of our competencies and each one of our dimension in one sheet for you guys. And it's available at the booth if you want to go around and pick up. We have for you the placement, and we have for you the big picture and the new implementation roadmap. But we also have the overview graphic. So let's start going into each one of these competencies and talk a little bit about what are some of the changes we've made and a little bit about why we've made those changes. It's not as random as you might think. We get a lot of feedback from the community. We talk to a lot of you guys and understand what's happening, what's working, what's not working. And as we were creating this, we went through many revs and got a lot of feedback of what people liked and didn't like. So team and technical agility is built around 3 dimensions. It all starts with agile teams. But those agile teams can't work by themselves when you're scaling, when you're talking about a large enterprise. So we need a team of agile teams coming together to deliver value. But if that value is not built with high enough quality, we can't deliver anything. So we need to build it, to build the concepts of quality into everything we do. We need to make sure it's part of our work. Now we've made a big change here with 5.0. We used to have the team level and the program level, and that is gone. This was a barrier for a lot of people, driving a lot of wrong behavior, either by saying, I'm just going to start with teams, I'm not even going to think about trains, or by assuming that a train was a separate thing from the teams. What's a train? It's a team of agile teams. Where are the teams? Well, they're down here. Then why put a separating line in the middle? So we took that away. And as we took that away, we were thinking, what's the name for this new level? What's the name for this new thing? And we've had this configuration, going back to 4.0, called Essential SAFe. We said, that's it. This is Essential SAFe. There is no team, there is no program, it's Essential SAFe. So hopefully that's going to make a big difference. We've actually, if you remember some of the jokes we've had when we went from 3.0 to 4.0 and we had added a level, and people said, are you going to add a level at every version? Well, actually, we're taking one back. Who knows what's going to happen in the next one? So that's going to be a really important change, really focusing back on the essentials. We're going to talk more about Essential SAFe later. We've also brought all the roles together. We want you to start on the left and start with the competencies. But who does all the work? People. So the next thing you're going to see in the big picture is the people who do the work. It's all about the people who do the work. Lisha and Sam were talking about creating the intrinsic motivation for a knowledge worker. Or they were saying it in a way that I cannot repeat. But if we need to unlock the motivation, we need to really focus on those knowledge workers. And that's where it all starts. So we brought all the roles together. But as we were rethinking this team level, it made us understand that we have to rethink the concept of a team within business agility. Now teams, agile teams in SAFe had 3 roles: Scrum Master, Product Owner, and the Dev team. I'm a marketing team. Am I a Dev team? I'm a learning and certification team. Am I a Dev team? I'm an audit team. Am I a Dev team? I'm an HR team. Am I a Dev team? I'm not thinking of myself that way. So we took away that label. We're just talking about Agile team. No more confusion about what does the Agile team do and what does the Dev team do. There is just an Agile team with 2 specialty roles, Scrum Master and Product Owner. Refocusing. We used to have hardware, software, firmware here. Now we're refocusing in business agility. We have business, development, operations, support, just as example of the people we need to bring together to create innovative business solutions. And since we've been focusing a lot on technical teams, what does it take for a business team to really be agile? So if you go to the Agile Teams article, you'll find this graphic there talking about the journey of a business team. We have to start by being agile. We have to start by being an agile team. We have to have a Scrum Master, we have to have a Product Owner, and they need to start working in an agile fashion, doing iterations, doing stand-up meetings. But it doesn't stop there. We need to get that team on the train. We need to get them to join the value stream. So the next step for an agile team is to join the value stream. And then the third step is, what does it take to do my job in an agile fashion? So not just do iterations. What does agile marketing mean? How do I rethink the concept of campaigns? What does learning and certification mean? How do I rethink building new courses in Agile? What does audit mean? How do I rethink the concept of auditing in an Agile environment? So that comes later. And this article describes that journey for an Agile team. We also have to rethink built-in quality. There are some general principles that apply to every team. Should marketing teams have pairing and peer reviews? Yes. Should marketing teams think about automation? Yes. So if you go and read the Team and Technical Agility article, it will describe the quality practices that all teams share. But it will also describe that there are some specific patterns that we've identified for technical teams. And the built-in quality article talks a little bit about the fact that people need to specialize their own type of built-in quality, but then take that concept and think about what does it mean for them. And then the article goes deeper into the technical practices that we've all had, and we've had them in 4.6, like architecture and test-driven development and spikes. Can we do test-driven development in a marketing environment? Maybe, but we have to think about how and what it means. So those require more thinking. Agile product delivery. So Agile product delivery has 3 dimensions in it. We've always had, before it was called DevOps and Release on Demand. So now we're focusing on development cadence and release on demand. We're focusing on DevOps and continuous delivery pipeline. But we understand we also need to focus on the customer. Because if we can deliver the best solution in the world faster, that's great, unless they're the wrong things. There are studies that show that a very low percentage of features in software actually get used. And now we're building amazing pipelines to build the wrong things even faster. So with 5.0, we're doubling down on the concept of customer centricity and design thinking to understand what our customers want. And it took center stage in this place. We brought the customer closer to the people doing the work. We refocused on the concept of design thinking. And while customer centricity is a mindset, it's a mindset of understanding that we need to focus on our customers. We need to understand better what they do and how they do their work. We need to understand that they are the reason for why we wake up in the morning. And the second part of this duality is design thinking. Design thinking provides us with the tools that we can use to actually understand our customers. And Neil was talking a little bit yesterday about this double diamond. that we have to diverge on an understanding of the problem, and then converge on an understanding of the problem, and then converge on this is our customer's problem, and then diverge again. And if you read the design thinking article, it will talk about a lot of tools, like personas, and empathy maps, and journey maps, and story mapping, and prototypes. And Dean talks us through some of these yesterday, so I'm definitely not going to go in, but these are directly from the article. A lot nicer graphic than Dean had yesterday. But when you go in there, you're going to appreciate the details that Luke put into this as he was writing this article. Because he's going to talk about what is a persona and how to use empathy maps. It'll provide you with a template to actually do empathy maps with your customers. And we'll refocus you on how do I do a journey map and what's the goal of a journey map? And what's the goal of a story map? And how do we do that? And what about prototypes? How do we prototype very quickly so that we can try out different solutions before we converge on a solution? So design thinking and customer centricity was a big thing in 5.0, but it's not the only thing we've changed in this competency. We've had the problem where people took the continuous delivery pipeline and thought of it as a linear thing. We're going to have one product, we're going to have one program increment of exploration, and then one program increment of integration, and then one program increment of deployment, and then one product increment of release. That's not what we thought. But if you look at that graphic up there, it's easy to make that mistake. So we wanted to make it very clear that that's not what we do. So we're trying different graphics. How can we make it clear that every iteration has all these components in it? And eventually Steve had this really cool idea, and that's where we ended up with. And you can see that now in every iteration we have continuous exploration, continuous integration, continuous deployment. Those things happen in every single iteration. So we need to rethink how we think about the flow within iterations. We've also had to rethink other basic things that have been in safe for a while, but this is 5.0 and we can. Who here has ever done PI planning? You know about objectives? Stretch objectives? Nobody gets the concept of stretch objectives. These are the things we'll do if we have more time. So with 5.0, we no longer have stretch objectives. We have uncommitted objectives. We're very specific about this. These are things that won't happen if we have magical time appear out of thin air. These are things we plan for, but we cannot commit to right now. And nobody can look and say, well, it was a stretch goal, but I thought you committed to it. No, it's uncommitted objectives. So we're very clear about this with 5.0. And hopefully that's going to make a change for how you run PI planning and how your business owners, who are hope to get a lot more engaged with us in 5.0, how they will perceive what the team is putting in front of them in a different way. Now you can understand this is going to have a ripple effect through courseware, through the toolkits, which is why, as Dean said, we don't have everything ready for you right now, but it's going to permeate to everything. So that's Agile product delivery. What about enterprise solution delivery? So enterprise solution delivery has 3 dimensions as well. A pattern emerges. Lean systems and solution engineering, coordinating trains and suppliers, and then continually evolving live systems. The concept of the continuous delivery pipeline is a lot harder as you're building really big solutions. And as you're building business solutions, and as you're building huge cyber-physical systems. But that doesn't make them less important. So with this one, we're delving deep into what does it take to actually build and maintain live systems. Dean was telling the story yesterday about the welding machine. How do we get things to update over the air? How do we rethink when are we done and understand that we're never done? Whether it's a solution, whether it's a software, whether it's a cyber-physical system, getting it out there in the field is just the first step. We need to evolve live systems. But in order to do that, we need to remember that we have to align between a lot of trains. We need to work with suppliers and manage the entire supply chain. And we need to reinforce the importance of system and solution engineering. Because if you don't have good engineering, if you're not thinking and building a solution intent of variable and fixed requirements, if you don't have multiple horizon planning, if you're not thinking of compliance in an iterative way, you will never be able to continually evolve live systems. So those concepts have been completely rewritten. That article Harry has completely rewritten it based on what does it take to deliver enterprise solution delivery? What does it take to deliver enterprise solutions? Lean portfolio management. That's not new. We've always had that. Same 3 dimensions, by the way. Strategy and investment funding, agile portfolio operations, lean governance. But we made some important changes for you. We've put more emphasis on what does it take to formulate enterprise strategy. Rethought this strategy bug that we've had there. Putting more emphasis on the business model canvas, the lean canvas, including providing some downloadable versions for you to think about your strategy. As that strategy gets decomposed and becomes strategic themes, we were thinking better about how can we make strategic themes more apparent. Now, we've always had strategic themes in SAFe, but people were struggling in writing them. So with 5.0, we're introducing a different way of writing them, not as the only way, but as an additional way that people can use to formulate strategic themes, and that is OKRs. So now OKRs are part of SAFe. At a portfolio level, as you're thinking, what are your strategic themes for the next year? You can formulate them as objectives and measurable key results that you'll be able to track throughout the year to see, are we going further with this? Are we progressing? But again, we had the time to rethink stuff. This is 5.0. So for example, the portfolio canvas, we just introduced it with 4.6. Already we're changing? Yes, because the goal isn't to have a canvas. The goal is to have a portfolio vision. So with 5.0, we're redoubling our efforts on understanding that concept of the portfolio vision. And it has the portfolio canvas within it. Actually, the icon has 2 of them. One for the current state portfolio canvas and one for the future state portfolio canvas. So now we have a way to delve deeper into understanding. Our point is not to create canvases, but to drive vision and understanding of where we're going. We also took the time to go deeper into what does it take to create this vision. And before we had the SWOT analysis, but we want you guys who are, somebody said this in the SPCT day on Saturday, that some of you make your money selling acronyms. So now we have TOES analysis. And you can make a lot of money explaining to your customers why they need both SWOT and TOES. TOES analysis helps make SWOT analysis more actionable. And read the article to understand how you can actually translate from a SWOT analysis and start with that and move to, okay, I have those weaknesses. How can I use my strength to exploit opportunities? How can I use my strength to avoid threats? How can I use weaknesses and use them together to actually drive maybe new opportunities and really make everything that we've done in a SWOT analysis, which is just a where are we, into a more actionable thing that we can drive to a vision. We also rethought the portfolio canvas, Kanban system. Many people had problem with the MVP thing. Where is it? What happens when the MVP is done? Do we open a new epic? Don't we open a new epic? Nobody could understand it. We've had a lot of questions, especially since we've launched the LPM class. So we're making it more explicit in 5.0. The implementing column now has 2 sub-columns, MVP and persevere. The epic starts, it will get to the MVP. It's been proven, great, it will make its way to persevere. What happens if it hasn't been proven? Well, we rethought the lean startup cycle as well. You can find it in the epic article, talking about the fact that if the hypothesis has been proven, we need to make a decision. We're either pivot, in which case we have to create a new epic because we have to describe what is the new MVP, what's the new benefit hypothesis, or we're done. And if the hypothesis has been proven, we're going to move to persevere and we're going to keep governing until the portfolio decides that this is no longer a portfolio concern. We could never understand when is an epic done. Well, it's done when the portfolio doesn't need to govern it. We can move and decentralize that decision to other places. So this is in the epic article, and it's becoming puts a lot more emphasis on what it means. Organizational agility. So Dean went deeper into this, and I'm not going to. But it has 3 dimensions to it. Lean thinking people and agile teams. What does that mean? Lean thinking people and agile teams. Seems like a very long sentence. But what's the meaning behind it? We already had teams and people in agile, team and technical agility. Why do we remember it only now? So this dimension talks about 2 important things. The first is we need to take this beyond technical to everyone across the enterprise. It's not enough that the technical teams understand what Agile is. Do the leaders understand? Does the C-suite understand? Not if they heard of Agile. Not if they asked you to implement 2 pounds of Agile. Do they really understand what it means? Do the other people really understand what it means? Not, I can do iterations. Why do I do iterations? What's the principle behind iterations? Not, I'm doing daily stand-ups because I've been told that you have to do daily stand-ups in SAFe. If you want to get to organizational agility, the ability to really change and respond to change, you need people and teams who understand the mindset and the concepts and really live them. Then we can go and start thinking about how do we make business operations better? How do we think about the overall value streams? How can we improve them? How can we find out where our delays are and then focus hard on improving those delays? Dean likes to say this. If we look at a business, if we look at a value stream and we find out that our current problem is in testing, and Sam is our VP of testing, and I'm going to call it that testing sucks. Well, Sam's not going to be very happy. But the surprising truth is that all of your organization don't have a VP of delays. Hopefully. So nobody's going to defend those delays. We need to finish the story and just wait on the shelf for 3 months. No, we need to work on it. So attacking those delays can really drive our ability for business agility. And finally, strategy agility. We had an idea. We created our strategy. Lean portfolio management was all about creating strategy. But now we learned new things. Well, we can't change our strategy. Come back next year for the new strategy decisions, and we might be able to swift. But we've just disproved our hypothesis. We don't want to keep heading that way. Well, you should have thought of that 3 months ago. Strategy agility is all about how can we quickly sense the market, understand that things are changing, and then change our direction accordingly. Change our direction and change our network. So reorganizing around value quickly to capitalize on new opportunities. Can we come up with ways to change our strategy quickly that will allow everybody to respond to this strategy change today? And then continuous learning culture. 3 dimensions here as well. Learning organization. Dean talked about the fact of how we build this on Sengay's work. We need an organization that keeps learning. Hila talked about it yesterday in the Travelport customer story. Learning. Have you given us the tools to learn? We need people who can learn and evolve. As people, as teams, as an organizations. We need to focus on relentless improvement. We've always had that in SAFE, but we went deeper into what does it mean. And Steve spent a lot of time rethinking, what is relentless improvement? What does it mean? How can we get better at this? How can we create an innovation culture? Innovative people that go out into the field with the time that they've been provided for innovation, talk to customers, understand customer needs, and actually allow for us to change where we're going, to experiment freely without risk of failure, and move forward with better successes, creating innovation riptides that can come from everywhere in the organization. And then leadership. Leadership is still the foundation for everything. Mindset and principles. This is where it starts. Do our leaders understand the mindset and principles? Who's leaders? You are. I said this yesterday. A lot of people like to say the problem is these are leaders. And it literally doesn't matter who you talk to. The problem is always the leaders, these other leaders. What about us? Have we made a transition? Are we behaving in the right way? Are we leading by example? There's not a single week goes by that I don't make a decision and make an action in our enterprise, and I later go back home and rethink and say, was there a better way that I could have done that? Did my action exhibit those principles? Was I helping, leading by example, or did what I just do reinforce exactly the opposite of what I say? So we're doubling down on the concept of leading by example, as well as the concept of leading by change, leading the change, and enterprise and leaders' responsibility in leading this change. Now, this is the foundation of SAFE. This is the foundation of the big picture. So as we were rethinking this, and since we have the opportunity to use 5.0, we had the chance to rethink other things, like our principles. So I apologize to everybody who's ever gotten a bottle of water with the principles printed out on it. Get a sticky and add another one. That's why we put it at the bottom. Principle number 10, organize around value. Remember what Dean said yesterday about the network and the hierarchy. Remember what we just talked about on strategy agility. If I'm not organized around the delivery of value, if I don't have the technical and business teams it takes to actually deliver, working together, I'm right back to thinking in silos. I'm right back to thinking in dependencies. Now, we have great tools in SAFE for managing dependencies. But do you need those dependencies? Or have you actually organized in a way that creates those dependencies for you? Our new SAFE fellow, Brian Tucker, said this about 6 months ago. He said to me, the first rule of scaling is don't. I see around in the field many people who are building trains in the wrong way, forcing dependencies between trains. And I see places where they build the right trains, but things have changed. And they haven't been able to evolve those trains. We've changed our biases to new biases. No, constantly rethink. So we're saying organize around value, but what we mean is organize and reorganize around value. We also rethought the House of Lean. Relentless improvement is now part of continuous learning culture. Innovation, we put a lot more focus on innovation. Flow, respect for people. So we rethought a lot of the concept around the House of Lean. It's still the same pillars you're familiar with, but some of the language changed. Mickey's going to talk here tonight, this afternoon, about project to product. We now have it right in the House of Lean. Move from project to product. We used to have stop, start mentality. You can interpret it however you want. No, we want to be specific. Move from project to product. Right in the House of Lean. We want to focus on a problem-solving culture, not just the tools. So we rethought this entire House of Lean to make it more accessible, easier language, and even shorter, if you remember that left column. We also went back to the implementation roadmap. We've added some of the new courses. And lean portfolio management is now both at the end and at the start. Because a lot of you told us we need to start with lean portfolio management. And we listened. But we also rethought the ending. It kind of fizzled out before. I extended the portfolio, launched a few trains, and I'm done. Sustain and improve. No! This is where you have the basics. This is the first time where you can actually accelerate and achieve business agility. So now we're renaming it Accelerate and providing you with some guidance on how can you accelerate at this stage. We still have our configurations. Essential safe, providing the basics. But if you look at essential safe here and you just looked at full safe, what is missing? Business agility. You can't achieve business agility with just essential safe. It's a great starting point, but it won't get you to business agility. We also rethought some of the concept around the 10 essential elements, introducing customer centricity in. And instead of calling this also essential, the 10 essential element in essential safe, which reuses the same term again, we renamed it the 10 critical art success factors. But it's the same principles. As you're moving from essential safe to large solution safe, you're adding more competencies, but still no business agility for you. Portfolio safe is the first configuration that actually gives you business agility. That's the minimal thing you have to do in order to get business agility with organizational agility and continuous learning culture. And of course, full safe, which has all the competencies and all the guidance of safe. But we've also thought about how do we measure this? How do we make it more actionable? This is a journey. Moving to business agility is a journey. And we want to be very clear that it's a journey. And we want to be clear that it takes a long time, but we want to provide you with those milestones on how to get there. So as 5.0, we're providing a Measure and Grow article that talks about how do I measure my progress towards business agility and how do I grow there. And it talks about how do we facilitate self-assessments, how do we help them grow. And we have one that we've provided you yesterday. Dean in the keynote told you to go to scaleagile.com/assessment or in your mobile app. And that's going to help us establish the baseline of where are we. And we're going to show these results in closing. Chris is going to come and present a check, and I'm going to come and present the results. And if he likes the results, maybe I get the check, right? You can right now go to that article and download this business agility self-assessment. It's an Excel spreadsheet, has a radar in it, but it will also guide you through the steps it takes to actually run an assessment. Because as we were doing it with our customers, we started by just creating an Excel spreadsheet and sending it out. That wasn't good enough. So working with some of our customers, we started testing an approach, a facilitative approach to running a business agility self-assessment. Working with the LACEs, going through a 6-step process of facilitating effective self-assessments, analyzing the results, thinking about where do we disagree? I think we're great here, you think we're not. Well, that's already a conversation. Because the point is not to give a number, we're doing 3.81. Who cares about that? It's the conversation that comes from this that's important. Then identifying growth opportunities. How can we get better? Where should we get better? Prioritizing those improvements. We can't do it all. As we were doing this with our customers, we came up with great ideas for improvement. Some of them having to do with rethinking their arts. Some of them having to do with training. Some of them have to do with learning. Some of them have to do with running a toolkit. But they couldn't do them all. Which is the most important one right now? Where should we start? Taking that learning and understanding that it's not an assessment we're going to send out once a year, get where we are and we're done. It's a continual process. We need to continuously check, learn, and improve. Because business agility is a journey. We're just starting it now with Safe 5.0. It's a huge journey. Safe for technical solutions was a journey. Most of us have been on it for a while. Are we done? Are we there? Technical solutions are perfect? Business agility is a bigger journey. We need to start taking it one step at a time. But we need to understand, as we're making progress, since this is a huge journey, it will take us years. So we're now going to start our business agility journey. And in 6 years when we're there, we're going to celebrate. It's not very motivational. We'll quit halfway through there. So we talk about the idea of celebrating successes, of understanding that multiplying milestones and creating more abilities for people to understand, reflect, and understand that they're making progress is motivating. We need all those things in order to achieve true business agility. We can't just think about one part of it. We can't just think about one part of these elements. There are many new things in SAFe 5.0. The preview site is there for you right now. I was giving you a whirlwind tour of the changes. Well, we rewrote a lot of those articles. Richard Nestor, Luke Holman, Steve Maynard, Harry Kinnaman, Dean spent hours. How many revs did the organizational agility article go through? 14. He kind of gave up on us by 10 as we kept changing it. There's a lot of guidance there. And what we're covering here in 45 minutes is not enough. But I hope this gave you a taste of what business agility is, what 5.0 is, and encouraging you to understand where the changes are and where you should be delving deeper. So I'm going to say thank you now. And I'm done with what's new in SAFe 5.0. But that was a really nice technical talk. Now, it's time to get you motivated about some of those ideas. Time to really get you to think about deeper. What does it mean? And I know a lot of people who are better at motivating people, who are better at driving success, who are better at explaining to people the importance of customers and the importance of some of the greatest changes we've made in 5.0 than my good friend, author, father, gamer, Luke Holman.